Are you as busy as one of Santa's elves? We may shake our heads at the early appearance of holiday decorations in stores, but making holiday crafts does take time. Start now with one of these projects, and then you can relax and enjoy the season when December rolls around. I just finished the Mistletoe Magic pillow from my friend Nancy Scott's book, Christmas Collection, and I have a blog post detailing everything about this project. But I had such fun doing this red work, these little embroidery squares. I decided to add some hand stitching to these snowball blocks, and I made up this pillow for Christmas. I think it turned out fantastic, and Nancy did such a great job with her pattern. You can find her at Masterpiece Quilting. So I hope you take some time today to do some embroidery. You can see that this tote is a fairly simple construction. The first step was preparing the quilt sandwich. So I made just a striped background and a solid lining for my bag. There's instructions for this cute little tab on the end as a handle. You can see that I did not do very professional finishing on this. I just attached the zipper to the wrong side of my quilt sandwich, used a zigzag stitch to apply it, and I was good to go. For this utilitarian project and my first adventure with the zippers, I thought that was just fine, and it came together very easily. You have to turn the bag inside out to sew those corners, and there's a little bit of origami going on. Zip it up and you're ready to fill it up with some sewing notions or pens and pencils for a child's school pouch. This would be a great lunch tote. So many options to do with zipper pouches. Do you need a quick hostess gift or a Christmas present for a friend? Try this Friendship Braid Table Runner from Jordan Fabrics. It's a free download and a lot of fun to make. Let's get started. Download your copy of this pattern from Jordan Fabrics. I'll put the link in the description box. I cut all the pieces according to the pattern. My one modification was to use a solid square in the middle where Jenny had a 9 patch. It looks good either way. Time to sew. First half of our friendship braid is done, and the second half is going to take a little bit of planning because I want these fabrics to be opposite. So I have to make sure I get that fabric on this other side. This is the piece I'm going to sew first. The pattern reminds you, and just because it's easiest to get it under the machine, you sew the right hand rectangle first, and then you take the strip that has the square on the end and you attach it to the other side. So I am going to add all my other rectangles. Okay, to cut our table runner, we just need to come inside of those seam lines. And I can use the tips of those squares as another one of my guidelines, and then the width of my ruler is going to be fine to make that. Just a second to get everything all lined up. I've got a video all about what to do with bonus triangles. So there's one side, and then I can turn that around. So again, I'm going from the center of those squares and just the width of my ruler. Table runner, and then it is ready to layer and quilt. I made a hippopotamus for Christmas. I'll show you how. Let's get started. I've been working on this quilt with safari animals for a while, but as soon as I made that hippopotamus, I thought how cute it would be in Christmas fabrics. I followed Elizabeth Hartman's pattern, Spectacular Savannah, to cut the pieces for this hippopotamus block. Once all the pieces are cut and labeled, it's time to sew. For an envelope pillow backing, you need 2 pieces that are identical in size. I hem the top edge, and then you overlap them about 2 inches. Layer the quilt block face down with the overlapping backing pieces face up. Pin the layers together and sew 1/4 inch all the way around the edge. Once you have sewn all the way around the edge, we're ready to turn it inside out using the overlapping pillow flap. So we will do that and gently poke out the corners. But there we have our hippopotamus pillow cover, and same process to stuff the pillow form in there. Just bunch that all up. Remember, we kept the pillow just a little bit smaller than the dimensions of the pillow, and that way it is nice and bulky. And you can see I probably could have used a little bit more overlap than I did, but I can attach a couple buttons to that. As a final special touch, I printed a label that includes a QR code to take you straight to the video of the song that inspired this project. Ho, ho, ho! Merry Christmas! No, the snow is not falling quite yet in North America, but if you plan to have quilted decorations in your house for this holiday season, you better get started sewing. I chose a variety of blocks from Lori Holt's book, Vintage Christmas, and rather than make a wall hanging or a quilt or a table runner, I decided I needed a new Christmas tree skirt. So this quilt will go underneath my Christmas tree. I designed my own layout for this Christmas tree skirt. I chose the larger 12-inch blocks from the Vintage Christmas pattern, and I just chose 11 of my favorite. The Vintage Christmas book by Lori Holt is a great resource for classic quilt blocks. She has 42 different quilt blocks, and the instructions have sizes for both 6-inch and 12-inch blocks. So you can play around for many, many quilts with the resources in this book. So I just flipped through the book to find the blocks that I wanted to include. So many beautiful blocks to choose from. I had a lot of fun putting together these traditional star blocks with half square triangle and flying geese units. I wanted to keep things simple because the highlight of the Christmas tree is not necessarily the wonderful quilt laying underneath, but obviously the presents that you'll stack on top. So I wanted to keep things simple and have a focal point on each side of the quilt. I love star blocks, so those were obvious choices. And then this Christmas tree ornament, the Christmas tree light, and the candy canes were fun options to include on my Christmas tree skirt. I decided to keep the 12th block as a simple 9 patch because I knew I would be slicing that half of the quilt so that my tree skirt can be thrown around the Christmas tree. And I didn't want to chop up any specific quilt block that I had pieced. I included the plain border blocks there on the edge of that row of my quilt, and then I just angled my ruler and made those ends of the Christmas tree skirt. So it's not a square, it's not a circle. I wanted to work with those octagon corners. Making a quilted tree skirt was a fun adventure. If you'd like to see the full construction process, please find a link to the full video in the description box below. These small projects are fun to make for holiday gifts, but if someone in your family needs a full-size quilt this year, head over to this video for some quick and easy projects that would look fabulous in holiday fabrics. Happy quilting! I'll see you in the next video.